one of the best judgments in recent times by the Supreme Court, which is actually going to save the unity and integrity of our country from the clutches and ill designs of RSS and BJP. That's all I can say in one line. Otherwise, the governor is supposed to help the chief minister. You've sent a bill, there is some urgency, I'll do it tonight only. That's how the relation is understood to be. Not delaying deliberately, not playing political agendas. Like you named certain governors, they are not governors. They may be occupying that post. They are creating hurdles. They are playing political games, divisive political games of RSS and BJP, and shamelessly so.
What is the moral tenability, for them to stay in office? That's
they don't have any. That is exactly what I'm saying. They don't have any. So do not accuse them of things they don't have. That is exactly my point. So
we are not wrong. We are not wrong, Mehmood, if we are raising this question. We should.
No, but your question is absolutely wrong, expecting something which doesn't exist. No, not too much. It doesn't. Morals don't exist. If they don't respect their oaths which they have taken of the Constitution of India, what else do you expect of them? Now tell me, do you in your wildest of dreams imagine, can you, that governor of Tamil Nadu will resign? It is such a big comment on his behavior as a governor. Any person having a shred of morality would have resigned by now and never accept any such role in his future career if there was a shred of morality. And you will see he will continue doing these very things in a different manner.
Hello and a warm welcome to HW News Network, your one-stop show, truth be told, for some engaging and thought-provoking conversations. In a massive win for the MK Stalin-led Tamil Nadu government, the Supreme Court today ruled that Governor R.N. Ravi's decision to withhold assent to 10 key bills was illegal and arbitrary. The court ruled that the governor cannot reserve bills for the president after withholding the assent. Now, what exactly did Justice Pardiwala's order say? And I'm just going to quote a few portions. The action of the governor to reserve the 10 bills for the president is illegal and arbitrary. Thus, the action is set aside. All actions taken by the governor, therefore, the 10 bills are set aside. These bills shall be deemed to be clear from the date it was represented to the governor. And this was said by the bench of Justice J.B. Pardiwala and Justice R. Madhavan. The court said that the governor Ravi did not act in good faith. And after which Tamil Nadu Chief Minister and DMK Chief MK Stalin described the verdict as historic. It's a big victory, not just for Tamil Nadu, but for all the Indian states. And DMK, of course, will continue to struggle for and win state autonomy and the federal polity. But the big question we are going to ask on our program today is, what will these governors do? Governors like R.N. Ravi, governors like Arif Muhammad, they've lost the moral battle. Will they resign? What will BJP do now? Is BJP completely defanged after this verdict of the Supreme Court? Joining me now this evening is Supreme Court lawyer and activist Mehmood Pracha. Thank you, Mehmood, for joining on HW News. It's a program. What would you say to this landmark verdict which has been given by the Supreme Court? And what is the biggest takeaway from this verdict?
It is one of the best judgments in recent times by the Supreme Court, which is actually going to save the unity and integrity of our country from the clutches and ill designs of RSS and BJP. That's all I can say in one line. Because India, Baba Sahib Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar conceptualized India and its administration in a very, very careful manner, in a very thought after, well planned manner, where there is a very delicate balance between the powers of the center as well as the states. India's strength comes from the power of Ashok, which was not the sword, but love and affection, equality, justice. That is the power of unity of India. That is the root cause of India's unity. So these RSS and BJP people who want to destroy India, they want to break India into pieces. They were acting in a manner as if they were gods. See, will of the people is supreme, and that is what exactly the Supreme Court has held. So, will of the people is represented by the Chief Minister. The Council of Ministers is the state. As will of the people is represented by the Cabinet, Council of Ministers at the center. So, therefore,
Mehmood, the court has also prescribed some timelines for the governor, whether he should act in 1 month, whether he should act within 3 months. And these timelines have been put out for the governor. And failing which, the governor's actions will be subject to judicial scrutiny. That's what the Supreme Court order says very clearly. Now, is this unprecedented of sorts when it comes to the actions and the conduct of the governor? Have we seen ever an order like this where the governors are being told that, look, this is what you need to do for the welfare of the people, because this is the will of the people, as you also pointed out. So is this something unprecedented? Have we heard this ever before in the history of India, where governors are told that, look, you've got to function within a time limit. You just cannot sit over bills.
See, what is more unfortunate is that is exactly what I'm trying to say, that governors are doing a very, very perfunctory role, not to create hindrances. They are there to help coordinate their relation, the state's relation with the states. They are there to convince the central government if there is some confusion. They are there to act as a conduit. They are not there as a supreme body over the Council of Ministers of the state. In lot of places, it is said that president is a rubber stamp. President of India, who, Niluji, I must remind, is the executive head of the country. He is the commander-in-chief. Even then, what is written in Article 74, and I'm talking about president. Governors are just a representative of the governor in the states. What is written for the president of India vis-a-vis the powers of the Council of Ministers? It is written that the Council of Ministers and the president will have to act in accordance with the aid and advice of the Council of Ministers, which is headed by the Prime Minister. And president shall act in accordance with the advice of the Council of Ministers. Shall. So a parallel has to be drawn in the states with the governor. So if the president of India has this much powers in front of will of the people, so normally this situation, that is the most unfortunate part, that Supreme Court has to pass a judgment asking governors, no other person than governor, that we will have to pull you up. And timelines are to be set. How unfortunate can this be? Otherwise, the governor is supposed to help the chief minister. You've sent a bill, there is some urgency, I'll do it tonight only. That's how the relation is understood to be. Not delaying deliberately, not playing political agendas. Like you named certain governors, they are not governors. They may be occupying that post. They are creating hurdles. They are playing political games, divisive political games of RSS and BJP, and shamelessly so.
But
and that is pain.
Yeah. Supreme Court also defined Article 200, and I would want you to explain that article a little in context with the order which has come out, that what exactly was the Supreme Court trying to convey through Article 200. Because what I'm reading everywhere is that Supreme Court declared that the governor does not have the authority to sit indefinitely on bills and must act within the framework which is laid out in Article 200 of the Constitution. The top court also said that the governor must take a decision within 3 months, either to assent to a bill, return it to the House, or refer it to the President. So does Article 200 lay the time limit or it allows the governor to function within that time limit. What exactly does Article 200 do?
So, what the situations which are being created by this present dispensation of RSS and BJP was never envisaged in the constitution that there will come a governor who will act as a political being, not as a responsible person who has to. So, therefore, as a parallel of that, I was reading. I also want to attract your attention towards before I come to 200. 200 clearly says that there are three options with the governor when a bill is sent to him for his acceptance. Either he has to do it. There is no time limit. He has to actually be proactive in giving his assent. It's just a kind of a formality which he should understand. So therefore, before I come to, and then he can keep it waiting for some time. If he is not convinced, he can ask for reconsideration. And if not, then he has to send it to the President of India. So, but all this has to happen in a manner which is to help the Council of Ministers of the state, not to oppose. That's the basic spirit. And therefore, Supreme Court, I think, it must be pained to order these timelines. And these directions are unfortunate because governor is a very, very respected post. Governors cannot be taken legal action against. There are so many protections for the governor like judges.
Right. What you are pointing out, in fact, I want to read out the portion of the order where it clearly says that the Constitution expects the governor to act expeditiously. Undue delay violates the very spirit of democratic governance. This is what the court has said. And this move was necessary to calm waters stirred by a high constitutional machinery. And beyond this, it also says that there is no scope of inaction. The governor is under a constitutional obligation to act. And the court obviously has referred again to Article 200 of the Constitution. Without following the due procedure laid out under this article, the court remarked that the bill remains a mere paper. Now, my question to you is, and what baffles me also is, that this is a big embarrassment for Prime Minister Modi. It's a big embarrassment for the governors who were operating and conducting themselves as political appointees of the BJP. Now, what are they going to do? They having lost the moral fiber. Shouldn't they resign? How do you see this politically? Will they resign after this order?
I am amused at your optimism. You're talking about things which don't exist.
No, I'm talking about the moral fiber. What is the moral tenability, for them to stay in office? That's
they don't have any. That is exactly what I'm saying. They don't have any. So do not accuse them of things they don't have. That is exactly my point. So
we are not wrong. We are not wrong, Mehmood, if we are raising this question. We should.
No, but your question is absolutely wrong, expecting something which doesn't exist. No, not too much. It doesn't. Morals don't exist. If they don't respect their oaths which they have taken of the Constitution of India, what else do you expect of them? So, but the most unfortunate part is that they will continue doing whatever they are doing. That is my apprehension, and my apprehensions usually come true. They are not bothered every single day. Now, let me give you examples.
No, you are saying that they will continue to err like what they were doing earlier.
Shamelessly so. Right. Because they have no shame.
So what happens?
I'm telling you.
Pardiwala said that if they don't listen and they don't adhere to the timelines, their action will be subjected to judicial scrutiny. So which means that will these shameless governors, if I may say, quote unquote, the shameless governors, are they not scared of the judicial scrutiny which they might invite by themselves?
They are protected like judges. No action can be taken against them. They are protected in law. These are these people who are given so much responsibility, so much prestige, so much respect. Constitution and Baba Sahib expected that they even if they are not big people, they will act big. Their post will make them big. What new phenomenon has evolved is, despite these people sitting on big chairs, they are not acting according to that chair. That's the biggest problem which our country is facing today. They don't get converted as prime ministers, as governors, despite sitting on their chairs. That is the biggest problem which we are facing with these people. Because their avowed goal is that we have to finish this constitution, and that they are saying it openly. And we have to bring in Manusmriti. So that we have to understand. Some things I say in a very light manner, but these are not light things which are happening in our country. Governor,
if you look at the language,
governor behaving in such a manner. Now, talking about this government, Supreme Court, there is a request of Supreme Court means, request for consideration of Supreme Court means it's a directive. What did they do in Chief Election Commission's appointment? Did they bother? Every single, of late you're seeing so many orders of the Supreme Court castigating the UP government for bulldozers, law and order. Yesterday I saw observation of the Supreme Court casting aspersions on the law and order situation, police behavior in UP. Do you think that thing will get over? The observation was that almost all the simple cases of civil nature are converted into criminal cases, and police is acting as an extortionist to settle matters, civil matters, by way of threatening a criminal case. That is what the observations are coming from Supreme Court. Do you think they are bothered?
So, Mehmood, your fear is that despite this big landmark verdict by the Supreme Court, the governors will continue shamelessly to function as they were functioning earlier.
That is why I'm saying, although this is a landmark judgment, but there is a disconnect. And obviously, I can't expect the honorable judges of the Supreme Court also to comprehend what I'm saying so easily. This is all unimaginable. Governor, somebody at the rank of governor, he will do such a thing. So these things are not comprehensible by even the judges of the honorable Supreme Court. So therefore, these safeguards which are there, that it will be open to judicial scrutiny. I think if there was any shred of morality, let me be optimistic now, there would have been a resignation of the governor of Tamil Nadu, if not other governors. Now tell me, do you in your wildest of dreams imagine, can you, that governor of Tamil Nadu will resign? It is such a big comment on his behavior as a governor. Any person having a shred of morality would have resigned by now and never accept any such role in his future career if there was a shred of morality. And you will see he will continue doing these very things in a different manner, slightly different manner.
No, but when you say that this will continue in a different manifestation altogether, so are we going to see the government talking about some amendments in Article 200? That's what they do.
Who knows? I am the classic example of that. My Haryana judgment triggered off that your order came. Now you are thinking. They will go to any extent.
So, will they change this law? The Article 200 of the Constitution, can they do that?
They might. Who knows? That would be the most probable reaction from them. Because they are kings. They are kings born to rule. Because they have become the prime minister. They have become the home minister. What is a governor? Somebody sitting in the chair of home minister will call any governor, do this, you have to do this. बस खत्म. वो गुजराती में ही बोलते होंगे थोड़ा, पर बोलते ही कुछ यही होंगे. ये कर दो और फोन पटक दिया और वो हो जाता होगा. जैसे है ना वो खुल जा सिम सिम. वहां से कोई गवर्नर साहब अगर कोई he would request that this is something.
What I'm baffled about is that here you have such a great verdict by the Supreme Court. It's a very, very sharp commentary on the conduct of governors like R.N. Ravi and Arif Muhammad and several others who are there in the opposition rule states and who are BJP's appointees. And you are saying that they will continue to function as they will be, or the government might try to change some laws or bring in some amendments in Article 200, which looks like quite higher probability according to what we have seen in the past. So which means that where are we headed? I mean, is this not going to be a complete disdain of the Supreme Court?
That exactly is the motive of RSS and BJP. They have to destroy every institution unless Supreme Court, I think, although it would be asking for too much from Supreme Court also, but they should have passed certain strict strictures saying, and I will quote another article again vis-a-vis the Honorable President of India. The legislative powers of the President of India, if there is an emergency and President is required, if he thinks or wishes that there is a need for an urgent change in the legal procedure, he can pronounce an ordinance. That ordinance is also valid, is dependent on the Parliament passing it. And see how it is worded. This is Baba Sahib Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar. In Article 123, it is said this ordinance will continue in force, in operation, till the time, if only if this power will come to the president if both the houses of the parliament are not sitting and operative. So, and there is an emergency, so he will promulgate by way of an ordinance. Now, this ordinance has to be placed the moment Parliament reassembles. It has to be placed in the House of Parliament and within 6 weeks. And 6 weeks is the outer limit. Within 6 weeks, this ordinance will will cease to operate if the Parliament does not approve of this. And alternatively, if the Parliament within this six weeks also rejects this ordinance or disapproves this ordinance will have no force of law. This is the will of the people in vis-a-vis the President of India. So this is the scheme of the Constitution vis-a-vis will of the people of India and the powers of the President of India. Forget the governors. 6 weeks is the ultimate limit. And here governors are sitting 12 bills. Do you imagine what does it mean? 12 bills. So if you imagine election is coming, or even if election is not coming, there is some urgency. The government wants to implement its promises, which is that made. So the governor will sit. The Council of Ministers in Tamil Nadu says that we want to do some social work and some very important program for the weaker section of the society. Governor will not pass it. You make some changes. I don't want that so many benefits should go to the weaker section. You reduce the benefits. Otherwise, I'll not pass it. Can you imagine that? And then give leverage to its own party. The party which has actually appointed him, the ruling party at the center, that they come out against the government and say that they are making false promises, they are not implementing their promises. This is exactly what is happening in Tamil Nadu. I am not saying this out of blue. This is exactly what is happening. Governor is playing as a member of Bharatiya Janata Party and RSS, and I am very sorry to say that, creating impediments and giving leverage to BJP that you raise these questions. And while he is the main culprit by playing their beneficial and benevolent programs. This is what is happening. Unfortunate.
I was looking at the Supreme Court order, which very clearly says that we are not trying to undermine the authority of the governor in any way. They're just trying to remind the governor that, look, you've got to adhere to certain timelines, and that timeline has been specified in Article 200 by the Supreme Court. Now, is there a probability, and I'm just asking you this question, maybe from your legal sense you could answer this, that is there a probability that these governors or the government might ask the governors to tell the Supreme Court that you cannot tell us you are trying to step into our territory? Is this a complete disdain of a constitutional office like that of a governor? Is there a probability that they might talk like that? Or maybe through a review petition or whatever, I don't know. Can there be a probability like that?
Sky or Patal is the limit for them, whichever way you want to go. They have no limits, no holds bar. We have to sell the entire country to Adani, we have to do it. End of the matter. You have to grab this airport, that business, this business. we'll do it. No problem. Nothing can stop us. We will threaten every MLA who we want on our side by ED, CBI. We'll do it because we have the power. But this note of caution is why? Because Supreme Court, despite the flow of the judgment, what you have pointed out is very important. There is some very, very unlikely event which would probably never happen in reality. But Baba Sahab, in his constitution, for the people of India, had envisaged that situation also in some unlikely, very, very unlikely event where the state government passes a resolution against the country. At that point in time, the governor has power to go over the elected government. That is the power which the Honorable Supreme Court is speaking about, not in any other case. That power and that balance which Baba Sahab had created, I think probably the Supreme Court is talking about that eventuality which may never occur. But these people, RSS and BJP people, are pushing the governments, elected governments, again and again and again, to push them into a corner so that they react strongly.
So
for their own vested
So from what you are saying, the game plan...
Otherwise, governor does not have any power. Let me finish. Otherwise, governor has powers as the president has the powers, legislative powers, as I said, under Article 123, such limited powers. But only on those emergent circumstances, very, very rare, almost impossible. Then the governor's that respect is always maintained and created. If you see any chief minister going to meet a governor, he will always stand in subservience to his seat. That is the scheme of things which Baba Sahab had prepared, and these people are hell-bent on destroying the delicate balance.
No, but Mehmood, from what you're saying, and I was just listening to you carefully, that this order, if it is not going to make any difference to the conduct of the governors, if it is not going to make any difference to the government, so which means that the probability is very high that they will try to manifest the same rule by the governor through some other circuitous means, maybe through an amendment or through some other manifestation. We don't know that, what tactics they'll adopt. But because the governors were almost used as a tool, as a political tool, as a weapon in the hands of the BJP government. Do you think that they will continue to sharpen this weapon further now after this verdict?
Yeah, that's what I feel. I mean, I'm not saying that governors were not had not overstepped their brief in earlier governments also. There are instances, but never in such a routine manner, never in such a scale, never. And that's the most worrisome thing. I mean, it has become a routine. I have appointed the governor. He will impeach the government. He will declare emergency there, or he will send a request to the president for president's rule. He will declare president's rule. Because why? Because I am Amit Shah. I will pick up a phone and do it. This attitude has to stop.
So after this verdict, Mehmood, what do you think is the biggest question on the minds of everyone? We've been discussing, I've also spoken to you about the possibility of a resignation, which many people are talking about on the social media as well. What are the biggest takeaways and what is the probability according to you? And that's my last question to you. Yes.
I think we all need to strengthen the Supreme Court more and more. That is what feeling I am getting, because this judgment could have been a little stronger also. The timelines have to be reduced, and there has to be something done to the president if there is some mala fide. And that's again very, very unfortunate. I mean, one should protect the post of governor. One should protect with their lives the post of governors and judges. But these people are taking the people of India also to such extent that we have to react. So everybody has to stay in their limits. That's the biggest take. And we have to now strengthen the Supreme Court. People of India have to stand by the Supreme Court, because Supreme Court is also struggling to maintain that balance which this RSS and BJP are deliberately trying to disrupt. And then too, there are only a few judges left who have this, I would say, backbone to do these kind of things, which is becoming very, very rare. We have seen the Maharashtra speaker's issue. We've seen that. And the judges then slept over the judgment. Kept on delaying, and ultimately the government fell and new government came, and that judgment never came about the powers of the chair, the speaker.
This kind of an order given by Justice Pardiwala, don't you think that in the current political context, this order itself is an act of bravado by the judges? These are times where people are questioning the probity of the judiciary. There are questions on their fairness, on their verdicts. And there are questions on judicial corruption as well. And in times like these, if you have an order like this given by Justice Pardiwala, do you think that this is an act of really a bravado, an act of bravado?
An act of a judge, I would say. Everything else is included. Everything else: honesty, integrity, bravery, compassion. Everything is included when you say a judge. That's all need to be said. And I had the occasion of arguing a case before Justice Pardiwala, and he ordered that you see, there are a large number of suicides which are happening in our all elite institutions. In fact, more than the farmers' suicide, our bright students are committing suicides, about 13,000 in the last year. So he passed a very good judgment, and he has set up a committee to go into the causes of why these students are committing suicides in elite educational institutions. He's passed a very, very detailed and comprehensive judgment. I had the honor and opportunity of appearing before him in that matter and assisting him. So therefore, I should not say anything more than this, because then he would be hounded. But he is a judge. I would not hesitate in saying this.
Right. So, it's a landmark verdict which has been given by the Supreme Court as far as the conduct of the judges are concerned. If you go by the verdict, they've been given a strict timeline to adhere to the timelines of 1 month and 3 months. They cannot sit over the bills. The act of the governor was arbitrary. It was illegal. But even despite this order, if the governors continue to behave as what they were doing, then what can really one say? And I will just leave you with this question. That what about Governor R.N. Ravi? Will he step down or will he continue? And if he continues, what is the face he's going to have? With what face is he really going to enter the Raj Bhavan or the assembly for that matter? I'll leave you with this question. Thank you so much, Mehmood Pracha, for joining on HW. Thank you.
Thank you so much for speaking to me.